Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic, a discussion between a professional film critic and lecturer and me, his wife of 20 years, who just likes to watch movies for fun. I'm your co-host, Julia.
Hey everyone, I'm Barry the Film Critic. Hello. We're going to talk tonight about one of my favorite films. This is Smoking Gun 2, starring Nick Lang as Joe Gunn. This is his return to the character. More babes, bullets, and bad guys.
No one talks that way to Joe Gunn.
Look who's back in town. Where there's fire, there's smoke. Where there's smoke, there's Joe Gunn. He hates bad guys.
Gunn, I'm gonna kill you.
He loves bad girls. This time, he's tracking a killer halfway around the globe. He can't be stopped.
Hang on! I'm coming!
And he never quits.
Joe, why don't you quit? These will kill you.
You kill me, baby.
I want him found. I want him stopped. I want him dead.
Gee, it's great to be wanted.
Nick Lang is Joe Gunn in Smoking Gun 2.
I gotta say, I think the series was already starting to show its age at this point, but I mean, really, it's a Nick Lang film, so you know what you're getting into, right?
No.
No. Is that not what we're doing?
No. We're talking about 1991's The Hard Way
Oh, you remember the title?
with Michael J. Fox
And James Woods.
playing Nick Lang.
That's right. Yes. Sorry, I was naming the movie within the movie. I'm just so excited to talk about this one. Yeah, and one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording is what a forgettable title for such a fun movie.
I kept forgetting. I was like, we just watched this movie, and then I was like, wait, is it The Hard Way?
Because there is a line in the film where someone says we could do it the easy way or the hard way, but like, why pull that? There's considering how colorful the dialogue in this movie is, like that's the one. Why not just bang bang Nick Lang? Call the movie that.
Way easier to remember.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's funny about this is, we just recently watched The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
And then we were talking about other Michael J. Fox films because I said, I've only really seen Back to the Future.
Yeah,
and
you're outside of Marty McFly. You do not know this man's work.
Family Ties. I mean,
Man, you only know Alex P. Keaton and Marty McFly. That's it.
That's pretty sad. So it's funny because you and your brother both love The Hard Way.
Yeah, big fan.
And I'm like, oh yeah, we should watch that. Forgetting that I've seen this movie.
It happens a lot. But thankfully, it wasn't the entire film. It wasn't like, well, we watched a film not that long ago where you not only remember the movie, but you remember the twist ending 2 minutes in. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. I only remembered
the billboard.
Yeah, the billboard,
Yeah.
barely anything. Because the billboard in this film, which
It becomes a character in the film, yeah.
I mean, it's just like a massive
head of Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
and it's over Times Square in New York.
that doesn't even really look like him.
I think it looks enough like him. I mean, but it's Michael J. Fox in a fedora, which is not really something you ever see outside
Yeah.
of Back to the Future too. Yeah.
So when it opened, I'm like, oh yeah, I have seen this movie, but I didn't remember the details. I think it's been a long time.
Yeah, Marty and I saw this opening day at the Wharf Cinema Center, and I just this is at a point. John Badham is the director, and he had previously made Bird on a Wire, which is a big hit. Even though that movie doesn't have an IQ in its head. That movie is so dumb, but like it was a huge hit. Badham was the director of Saturday Night Fever, great film, and also War Games, another great movie. He makes these grade A popcorn movies. He later made the Johnny Depp film Nick of Time, which I'm very fond of. And this movie, it is, it's a buddy cop movie, but it's about these kinds of films. Because a few years later, you'd have Arnold Schwarzenegger in Last Action Hero, and then like a decade later, you'd have Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro in Showtime, which was supposed to be a parody of buddy cop movies. It wasn't. It was more of a problem, really. But this film is really on top of it in terms of just making fun of the tropes, making fun of the expectations, making fun of itself. I mean, this film really, it's not The Player, but it goes after Hollywood. It's got some teeth on it. And we've noticed some jokes, so not only some of the more profane jokes, but this film goes after specific targets, including Mel Gibson, which is funny because that's the. I mean, I'm sure it's all wink, wink, joke, joke, but like it goes. I mean, basically, they're saying that Mel Gibson's butt is a better actor than he is at one point. I mean, there's a joke about Scientology. It's like, man, there's some good stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's got some teeth. It's really not. For one thing, it's not a dumb buddy cop movie at all. Like it's about buddy cop movies.
Okay, well, let's get into it because our movie opens up with New York City homicide detective John Moss,
Played by James Woods. Yeah, great actor.
and he's on the trail of a serial killer known as the Party Crasher.
Let's talk about this. So this is Stephen Lang, who everybody knows by now as, you either know him as the bad guy from the Avatar films, and he's very good in that. And of course, we've already covered both Don't Breathe 1 and 2. It's funny. We haven't talked about an Orson Welles or like we did one Hitchcock on this show, but like we haven't. But no. We covered both of the Don't Breathe movies. Don't worry, listeners. So that's the kind of show this is. So yeah, he's primarily cast as a villain. I mention this because I think it's worth mentioning. My father saw him on Broadway playing Dustin Hoffman's son in Death of a Salesman. Like, he's a real actor, and he's a great actor, but he gets cast as villains a lot. And yeah, in this film, his character is called the Party Crasher. We never know his name. And as we talk about the story, we could talk about maybe who this guy is, because the film gives us some vague clues. But a choice he makes as an actor is a strong one. In the first part of the movie, not the entire film, first part of the film, he has a Cockney accent that, I mean, it's up there with Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. It is not subtle. If I can remember it verbatim, I believe his opening lines is, "Hello there, it's me. I'm about to crash into the party." And then he hangs up the phone. And it's like, okay, he's playing the Joker. All right. That's a choice.
Oh my god!
And he's got bleach blonde hair. He wears, I think he's got an earring. And he's going to this club that only plays LL Cool J music, which is fine because LL Cool J is in the movie, so it sort of fits, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay, so he calls 911 every time he's gonna crash a party.
Crash a party. Like a good serial killer, he lets him know where he's going to strike next.
Yeah, I guess he likes to have an audience, apparently.
Yes. Yeah.
But it is just a mess. But there's a really cool chase scene with James Woods, like, holding on to the side of...
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah. No, I mean,
truck.
This movie, when this film came out, and I promise we'll stick to the plot, but when this film came out, we were two lethal weapons. There had already been 2 lethal weapons. There had been 2 48 hours. So the buddy cop genre, it was already really tired. And this is we're already 2 diehards as well. So, the way these movies play out, with the first act, I mean, the film even talks about it. There's a point in the movie where Nick Legg, not to get ahead of it, but says, like, we're in the 3rd act and this is what has to happen. So it's kind of like a Scream thing where, like, they're aware of what these movies are like because the film is about movie making and people who make movies. So, yeah, like, it's spectacular, but it's also making fun of this sort of thing because there's this looming billboard that winds up being a part of the chase or ruins the chase.
Right.
And it's the first instance where James Woods, who is full tilt here, completely intense, he's playing it completely straight, which is great because the contrast is his co-star, which we clearly see. Michael J. Fox is dazzling in this thing as a physical performance.
Okay, but before you get to that, I have a confession.
Oh.
I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
I kind of think Stephen Lang is, like, attractive.
Hello there. It's me again. Well, what can I say? I'm about to crash another party. Okay.
Me to you. Me to you. Me to you.
In this movie? That's the Party Crasher? You insane? Really?
Yeah, in, like, some weird way. I was like, yeah, I can
He's kind of hot. The way he crashes those parties?
I can kind of see it. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Wow.
I know.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he's ripped. No question. The dude's in great shape. He's always been ripped.
And maybe that's why we've covered Don't Breathe.
Is that why? Like, he's blind and he uses that turkey baster in really inhumane ways, but, I kind of want to see him again.
Gross.
Is it sexy that you can see him, but he can't see you?
No.
No?
No, I don't know. Yeah, it's bizarre, but I was like, I don't want to find him attractive, but I kind of do. I know.
So if you it happens. Sometimes we'll be at an airport or wherever, and sometimes we'll be like, there's that. If we saw Stephen Lang at an airport, would you like blush seeing him? Be like,
no.
Oh my God, it's the party
No,
crasher.
I mean now he's like, no.
He's up there, but
yeah.
he's still ripped. I mean, the dude keeps
I
himself
don't
in
think
shape.
I would recognize him in real life.
And you know what? I think he'd take that as a compliment because he does.
I really don't think I would.
He's a transformative
he would
actor.
blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But in this movie, he's
not blending in this
but
movie.
he's doing it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that gross?
That's bizarre, but I like it. I like that. Yeah, let's go with this. I love this.
I told you it was gonna be weird.
The Silence of the Lambs is a gross movie, but that Anthony Hopkins, his hair is slicked back and it's kind of handsome. I never thought of that before.
No. I mean, the Party Crasher character is weird. I mean, he's a weird dude.
But he's fun though.
So
he's having a lot of fun.
He is having a lot of fun. Okay, so after this whole like opening chase scene where it's a little bit dark.
I think it was a little too dark.
No, but like it's really intense.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
We go to Beverly Hills, California.
We get the Smoking Gun 2 trailer.
Oh, right.
Which, by the way, I want to see that now. That looks great.
I know. Because Indiana Jones, is what? Indiana Jones 5 is out?
Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
And so this is like an Indiana Jones
James Bond
ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Michael J. Fox as Nick Lane has the hat.
Nick Lang. Yeah.
Yeah. And the damsel in distress, he's going to save her.
It's funny because this trailer looked really jokey, haha in 1991. But I'll tell you what, after 3 The Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser, there's nothing like, this could play in theaters right now and nobody would be like, oh, that looks silly. No, people will be lining up right now for this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we meet Michael J. Fox's Nick Lang. Nick Lang.
Bang, bang. Nick Lang.
Tongue twister. He's just walking around his huge mansion in Beverly Hills.
There are babes everywhere. His agent is played by Penny Marshall, who's wonderful in her scene.
I mean, what? He's got like video arcade.
Oh, it's great. Well, he's a child. He's a man child.
He's got posters of just like women's bodies on his wall.
Yeah, and he's got women all. So it's a little gratuitous.
It is
like,
a little.
You're good, man. You got it.
Yeah. But he's really upset because he
wants to be taken seriously.
He wants to, this is the final straw, I want to be in a gritty film. And he sees John Moss, James Woods on TV, and he's like, that's the guy I want to be in my next movie.
And let me say, because, by the way, I suspect my dear friend Aaron Medeiros, who's a wonderful film critic on Madeline and Maui, I suspect Aaron is listening to this. So, Aaron, this is for you. This is very autobiographical, weirdly enough. Michael J. Fox was everything that Penny Marshall says. At one point, she's like, your box office is over $1 billion. That's true. Mm-hmm. Because of Back to the Future, Secret of My Success, and Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox was a big star. $7 million a movie, I think that's about right. I think that's what he was getting at some point. So he really was on that status. But indeed, Fox wanted to do dramas. And this is 1991. He had done 3 dramas, and they all tanked. He had done this film called Light of Day, which is a really great rock drama, Paul Schrader film. He had done a movie where he's a coke addict. It's called Bright Lights, Big City. It's a good film. Not great, but it's good. And he's excellent in that. And then he did, of course, Casualties of War. Excellent film, De Palma movie. And he's terrific in that. But all 3 movies were dark. Audiences were really confused. And unlike some actors like, say, Michael Keaton or Jim Carrey, who can go back and forth, audiences did not know what to make of the serious Michael J. Fox, and he stopped making those films, unfortunately. But he did take that chance. In between the Back to the Futures, he was doing these really dark, gritty dramas. So it's interesting that, I mean, I don't know enough about the backstory of this film, but unquestionably, there's a lot of Nick Lang and Michael J. Fox because he was, this affable, lovable movie star who everybody loved, everybody recognized, certainly from television, if nothing else. And the character is very close to Fox in some ways, but Fox is also making fun of every pretentious, obnoxious movie star who's completely out of touch with reality.
Yeah. Well, I can appreciate somebody like him wanting to do more gritty films in real life.
Yeah.
But also, if people don't want to see you in that, like...
Yeah, and the movie addresses that
yeah.
too. It's a problem because Michael J. Fox, like Nick Lang, is above all, he's an actor and he wants to be taken seriously. And the thing is, if you reach that level of success, it is like I want to prove that I'm worth all of these accolades, all these awards, and he's feeling that insecurity as an artist. And I mean, it's funny that it winds up being, his insecurities and his need to prove that he's authentic is being directed towards James Woods' character, who does not care.
I know. So he wants to go undercover in John Moss's police department as his partner.
Yeah, it's funny because this is New York in the early 90s. This is before the Giuliani cleanup. This is when New York was still pretty scuzzy and dangerous. And I got to say, I kind of miss those years because it was kind of fun that way. So yeah, it's a fun contrast because again, James Woods is playing it very straight, and it's established because even the Hollywood scenes just have a different feel from the rest of the movie. The New York scenes are, they're very gritty and edgy. So the fact that Fox is playing it so, he's playing this character is completely ridiculous. So it's a fun Mutt and Jeff contrast. It's a really good comedy pairing.
Okay, so Moss is furious with his captain, Bricks.
Played by the wonderful Delroy Lindo.
I love this guy.
This actor is the best. I
He's
love
always
him.
good.
He's kills it every time. He had let's see, Crooklyn, and what else? Malcolm X within the next couple of years. And yeah, Delroy Lindo is just you can't find a bad performance on his rap sheet.
So he tells Moss, like, you're off the party crasher case. You're taking 2 weeks. You're babysitting Nick Lang, and you're gonna show him the ropes. And you better not get him in any trouble.
Yeah.
And he's like, his alias is Ray Casanov.
Casanov with a V, yeah.
And so he just wants Moss to basically like give him like a 2-week ride along.
Exactly, just babysit him.
Oh, okay. So what's hilarious about this scene is that when Moss finally meets Nick Lang, he's got like a hat and a fake mustache. And he comes up to him and just like rips that mustache right off.
Yeah.
And what I love about James Woods' performance is never once does he break for this guy.
Yeah.
Like never once does he change who he is at all.
It's a great point because a lot of buddy cop movies, it's all about how they become friends at the end of the film. The movie doesn't give us that.
No.
He's, there's a grudging respect between the two of them, but at the end of the film, he still finds Nick Lang so annoying, which is perfect.
Yeah. He always finds him annoying, and he's always like, he'll turn on the TV. There's the trailer for his movie. He opens up a magazine. Yeah. There he is. A bus will just like drive by with Nick Lane's photo. It's like he cannot get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
So he goes back. It's like the same moment after he rips off the mustache. He goes back to his boss and he's like, he wants a gun. Like, no. And so he's like, you tell him to get in here. And so finally Nick Lane comes in and even the captain
gets completely starstruck.
Yeah, he can't tell him. He doesn't say anything about the gun. He's just like, my wife loves you. Will you sign this for her? And that's when he writes, bang, bang, Nick Lane.
Yeah. I don't know how many times Michael J. Fox has signed that, but God bless him if he has, because that is, that's
you
so
think
great.
people went up to him years later and had him sign that?
If I ever had the chance to meet Michael J. Fox, I would even say that to him. Yes, absolutely.
You would?
Oh, how cool is that?
That would be the thing you would say?
Bang, bang. Yes, what am I say? Like, let's go back to the future, Marty. No, Nick Lang, Smoking Gun 2, man. Yeah.
No, I think I'd want Marty McFly.
Would you start to sing the theme song to Family Ties?
No, I don't even know the theme.
What will we do, baby? With our love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not one of the great 80s theme songs.
No.
It's not like The Facts of Life. No, that's a banger right there.
There you go. That's the one that's stuck in my brain.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'd want like a Marty McFly signature for sure.
What's a Marty McFly signature?
Like him signing it as Marty McFly.
Dear Julia, I wish I could take you to the Enchanted Under the Sea dance. Love, Marty.
Yes.
Oh, man. You'd frame that, wouldn't you?
That would be amazing.
I'd be like, ugh. cheese. Want my Nick Lang signature.
Oh, yes. If I could have an Enchantment Under the Sea poster and then he signed that, then I would let you frame that and then we could hang it up.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I would settle for Teen Wolf, him all wolfed out, signed, Dear Barry, have a howl of a good time.
No.
Love, Scott Howard.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm hanging up a Teen Wolf poster. But Enchantment Under the Sea dance? Yes.
Sure. Okay.
You make that happen. I'll do it. Okay.
All right, I'll work on that.
So, all right. So Moss, he now has to deal with Nick Lang, and he's just like, I'm going after the party crasher. I don't care what my captain says. I'm doing it.
Yes.
I have a job to do.
And by the way, listeners, I want to be very clear about this. One of the reasons when Julie and I, we've talked about this, I think even on the air, I don't like to do a lot of comedies because it ultimately becomes a quote fest, and I just don't like that for a variety of reasons, and I don't want you to have to listen to that. This is tough because this movie is so quotable, but the best stuff we cannot say. This is an R-rated film, and James Woods has so many great one-liners, and we just cannot say them on this podcast.
Aw,
so see the film.
I feel bad about that.
Don't feel bad about that. And plus, you don't want me saying those things, especially with a little girl, in the vicinity of our podcast.
Okay. So he takes him to this like really bad part of town because he's gonna go see the dead Romeos to get information.
Does he take him to a frog dog first, though?
No, that's after.
That's afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm jumping to frog dog.
Yeah. So, because he basically finds out that Party Crasher has like a specific gun that's been made, and so he thinks the dead Romeos can get him like a contact.
And the dead Romeos, it's like the Lost Boys as a street gang.
Okay, but before he even gets into their apartment, he's like, "You have to stay down here." So Nick Lang is like in New York City, like in the ghetto, basically, and he's like, "Wow, it's so realistic. It's so terrible."
Yeah, and he's got his tape recorder, and he's
pretending to
pontificating about
like
everything.
shoot a film and does not realize that he is in imminent danger.
Yeah, terrible danger.
Yeah, because another like rival gang comes down the street and like starts shooting at him.
It's peculiar because it's an Asian gang, and they start shooting up. Like, I don't know about that, but all right, movie. Yeah, so there's a shoot up, and the gang rides away, and then meanwhile we get upstairs with John Moss, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, James Woods, and he's interrogating, to put him nicely, he's interrogating the dead Romeos. I like this touch because it's a Popeye Doyle touch. Moss is not a nice guy, and clearly as a cop, he doesn't always play by the rules, and what he's doing
he
is
takes
not
a baseball bat.
I mean, it's a little lean on me. It's very like, this is not what a good cop would do. There's something, he's not a dirty cop, but he's not a particularly ethical one. And I honestly like that as a character choice. I would say even like Riggs and Murtaugh, for all the destruction they do, they're the good guys. I don't know about Moss, and
You don't think Moss is a good guy?
Not really. He's got a terrible temper. He's extremely impulsive. I mean, if I had to choose between Martin Riggs or John Moss, I think I'd go with Riggs.
Okay, well,
because it's Mel Gibson with his mullet. Come on.
Well, yeah, okay. There's no comparison there because, yeah. All right. But anyways, I think he has a terrible temper, but this like shakedown with the dead Romeos is kind of, he's like has a baseball bat and he's kind of like threatening them, but he doesn't hurt anybody.
I think.
I'm not saying this is like a good way for a cop to be, but I'm saying there are way better examples of dirty cops.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'm saying on the dirty cop scale, I'm like, this is pretty minor.
He's not Nicolas Cage in Bad Lieutenant. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think he knows that like because he's like, if we don't get this guy, he's just going to keep calling us and we're going to just have to keep witnessing people being murdered.
Yeah.
So it's like he's on a mission to like beat him to the next phone call.
Yes, he does break their TV though because Nick Lang is on it. So that TV's got to go.
Yeah, that is really funny. Okay, so yeah, Nick kind of gets caught up in like a gang shootout, and Moss is like, "You were never here. I can't have your first day on the job be a gang shootout. Like my boss is gonna kill me." So then this is where they get a frog dog.
Yes.
What's a frog dog?
Frog dog, as the film shows you, is this really sleazy, highly unsanitary little pushcart hot dog stand in the middle of the ghetto where a man makes a hot dog and covers it with French fries, saturates it with mustard and ketchup. Mm-hmm. So it's like instead of eating all of this separately, you're a cop on the go, you eat it all in a single bite.
I don't know. I love how Nick Lang is like, do you eat these all the time? Like, I could get you in touch with my nutritionist.
He's like, be good to your bowels, and your bowels will be good to you.
And I'm like, that's actually like advice for the ages. Okay, I love this bit where Nick Lang tells John, so I'm going to stay at your place. And he's like, what? You're not staying at my apartment, but he like takes him to his apartment. And he actually has a pretty nice place.
He does. But at this point, Moss is already just furious because Nick is copying all of his moves.
Oh, yes.
He's constantly shadowing him, even after he asks
Like, just
him not
stop
to.
doing that.
Yeah, to the most minute detail.
Oh, okay. So before we get to their apartment, like this is the part where
The big speech.
he does give a big speech, and I love it because, and I'll just do a little.
Oh, do it. Please, recite it.
No, I'm not going to
Embrace your inner James Woods. Get really angry.
But so John is like, it's not like the movies. They get 17 takes to get it right. We get one take. It lasts our whole lives. We mess it up and we're dead. And then you expect Nick Lang to just kind of be like, oh, wow, that's really deep. No, instead, he's just like, oh, man, that was awesome. He like wants to record it.
Hey, can you do it again?
He gets his recorder out, and I think John just like throws
He takes
it.
it. Takes it and tosses it.
Yeah. So it's like, I love the contrast of James Woods just being like freaking ticked the entire time.
Yeah, it's great.
And Michael J. Fox is just like a 10-year-old boy.
Yes.
I mean, that's their dynamic.
The film is like Beverly Hills Cop in reverse, because Beverly Hills Cop was about a tough Detroit cop who lives in a white-collar world. He goes to Beverly Hills and has to deal with the Hollywood nonsense of Beverly Hills. This is about a Beverly Hills infant who's used to the rich and glamorous life, who has to go to New York and deal with the fact that this is a gritty street mentality and rules that just don't apply to him. So yeah, it's kind of like a reverse of Beverly Hills Cop in a sense.
Yeah. Okay, now we know that James Woods has a sort of girlfriend.
He's trying to get this relationship started, and she digs him.
Yeah,
she really digs him. Annabella Sciorra, wonderful, wonderful actress. I love Annabella Sciorra.
Yeah,
very natural. It's Annabella Sciorra of Jungle Fever and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Yeah.
And she, I don't know.
And her daughter's played by a very young Christina Ricci.
And I kind of don't know why she likes him in this movie, because she sees him completely fly off the handle. Like the worst temper of all time.
But it's a follow-up date. So she says things about like he was very generous and like, okay, like that first or two dates, whatever it was that they went on, apparently went really well.
Right.
Apparently he really, he made an impression, even though, as she says, he's not opening up to her.
Yeah, she's like, you need to start talking about yourself a little bit. Like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah. But so far, so good. But she had, other than when she sees him in the station, at this point, she's not seen what a violent cop he is.
Right.
At any given moment, all the time, all day long. Yeah.
Okay, so James Woods is like, I have this date tonight, and Nick Lang, you cannot come. And so Nick Lang crashes his date.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I love the way they introduce it, because the daughter, Christina Ricci, is asking James Woods, like, tell us something you love, something you hate. And he's going, something I hate. When you hear Michael J. Fox go, John?
Well, what is also hilarious is that nobody knows that, like, he's pretending to be Ray, the partner.
Yes. Yeah, and everyone's like, you look like Nick Lang, only shorter.
Yeah, only shorter, which is hilarious.
Or again, another shout out to Bird and the Wire when Christina Ricci's like, I like Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And John Moss, like, I love him, love Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is you and I are like, you're the same height as James Woods.
Yeah.
I'm like 1 inch taller than Michael J. Fox.
Oh, well, that's why we're the perfect comedy team.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
all about size. No, I mean, this is such a funny contrast because, I mean, James Woods is known for a lot of stuff now, but at this point, I mean, he was an MVP for any movie. Although, I'll say quickly, it's an interesting thing because he has nothing but nice things to say about Michael J. Fox. He said so many things about how much he loves him. And then a later co-star, Dolly Parton. However, these movies, he's never spoken about the film specifically. And I suspect he's not crazy about them. This was a period where he wanted to do tougher, grittier stuff, and he was doing a lot of commercial Hollywood stuff. The downfall, probably. He's in a Dolly Parton movie called Straight Talk. I've only seen it once. I vaguely remember it. But he apparently, his agent was making him do these Hollywood movies, and he wanted to do Reservoir Dogs, which he was offered, but apparently the agent's like, no, I'm not even going to show you this script. So he fired his agent, and it was a Stallone movie called The Specialist, which he stole. That was the film that kind of put him back where he wanted to be, which was doing commercial films, but primarily indies. Do you remember him in The Virgin Suicides? He plays the father of the girls, the Lisbon girls, and he is incredible in that film. That's a great performance, and and he's in Casino with Sharon Stone and De Niro. Like, anyway, this movie, like, on the one hand, I love him in this movie, and one of the things that's so fun about it is like he is all the intensity, all of this, the electric charge you get off this guy in really dark, gritty dramas is present in this performance, which is a real gift. Mm-hmm. So it's not a self-parody performance. It's kind of like De Niro in Midnight Run. He's just, he's putting his energy into a role that's comical, and he's really not even trying to be funny. He just is funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Fox is like all over, like, Fox is like, it's a great physical and verbal performance from him, comically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've gone on their date. I don't know, at one point, Nick Lang wakes up and he's like handcuffed to the bed, and it's like Moss is just like, I don't want to deal with this guy. You're staying home.
Well, do we want to jump over the scene where we see the party crasher? Because we've been without Stephen Lang for a while.
Oh, yeah.
This is where we see him in his apartment, which is far more impressive than John's.
Yes.
I think he's a video game programmer.
Oh.
You think? Because like he creates this video game likeness of himself. And this is 1991. This is really impressive for 91. Like, this would be like a high-end Sega game. It's really good looking.
Do you think that like Speed got the idea for their villain from this villain?
Speed stole from the hard way? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because he's like watching, he's watching the news. He's watching Moss and being interviewed by cops, like by the news, I mean. And it's like really like charging him up.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard to say how much influence this movie had. But yeah.
Everyone knows about the hard way.
Oh, you all know the hard way. But yeah, Lang, Lang at this point, he's still got that Cockney accent, which does disappear at some point. And I really don't know if it's a choice, if it was a deliberate choice, if it's like, he's kind of like the Joker. No one quite knows what his background is, and his story keeps changing, and, the way he talks keeps changing. Or if it was simply a matter of like, Stephen, that accent, we got to lose it by the second act, because it's not really, the test audience is kind of laughing. I don't know. But I look at his apartment and I wonder, like, is he a video game programmer? Is he who is this guy? Mm-hmm. Because even the credits, they list him as the party crasher. I suspect Lang, being the great actor that he is, he really is, I'll bet he has a total backstory for this character that we'll never know. But this is the scene where he's watching James Woods on the TV, and he's mimicking what James Woods is saying. And of course, John Badham, to really hammer home the point that this character is crazy, we have him going over again, me to you, me to you, me to you. And then he punches the TV screen and screams out in pain. And then a really weird dissolve. It goes from that to Michael J. Fox singing Big Girls Don't Cry on his date with James Woods and Annabella Sciorra.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's the scene where Louis Black is one of the three guys, the businessmen who come in and they crash the date. They're being inappropriate. So John Moss,
Oh, he flies off the handle.
yeah, beats them up and arrests them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the first time that Annabella Sciorra, first time she's having second thoughts about this guy.
Yeah. Because she does ask Nick Lang to go out to lunch with her.
Right. That's the following scene where he wakes up handcuffed to the bed and she calls and she wants to, wants to see him alone.
Yeah. Because she's like, I need some advice, like how to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And I think Nick thinks, oh, she's kind of into me, but she kind of tells him later on, like, oh, no, I'm not into you.
Honestly, I'm a little confused by this. And because maybe she's just speaking jokingly, but she does say, like, I want to sleep with you. Remember? Like, she does.
No, she wants to sleep with John.
Right. But he does make that. I don't know. The way she says it, I feel like it's open-ended enough that we understand his mistake.
Whose mistake?
Nick Lang's mistake.
Oh.
That he thinks like she's hitting on him.
Oh, I see. But no, I think she's pretty clear. She wants to sleep.
You think it's clear? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was a little confused.
I mean,
I, like Nick Lang, was confused.
Yeah, you're like, Annabella Sciorra wants to sleep with me? Okay. When is this going to happen?
Moving on.
All right, so I'm not quite sure if we're skipping anything like important.
Well, at this point, this is the subway scene. This is the point where a fight breaks out in the subway, and John's girlfriend says, "You got to break it up," and Nick is like, "This is not in my jurisdiction." Susan, thank you, Susan. Of course, Susan.
Oh yeah, because she thinks he's a cop, obviously, and they're like on their lunch date. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
so of course, it's a New York joke, and it's a good one. Everybody on the subway is packing heat. Everybody has guns. It's a big Mexican standoff with everybody. I'm sorry, now it would just be a standoff. Sorry. And so the standoff extends into the subway, and it's a chase between three guys who are packing heat and firing away, and Nick says, like, don't make me use this. And he's got this little rubber gun that makes a squeaky sound when he pulls the trigger, which is great.
I know. And so then John ends up saving the day.
He shows up and does a dirty Harry.
Yeah. And so that
stares him down.
He's awesome.
And did you notice the sight gags? I love this. When Michael J. Fox as Nick Lang is hiding behind the newspaper stand. Not only is, of course, there's the prominent Premiere magazine that has him on it.
There's all these magazines about.
They're all about him.
Paternity tests.
From here to paternity, and all the magazine covers are about Nick Lang, which is great.
Okay, so I want to jump to the night that John and Nick go to an old warehouse with a lead on the party crasher, and he gives Nick his own gun.
Oh, well, do we want to jump over this one of my favorite scenes of the film?
Oh.
Where they're alone in a bar together.
Okay.
This is right after this.
Okay, you can.
Because John, on the one hand, doesn't want Nick's advice about how to be a good boyfriend, but Nick provides it for him.
Yes.
In character as Susan.
Oh, yes. This is hilarious. He won't talk to him unless John calls him Susan.
I can help you, John. I'm serious. I got it. Pretend I'm Susan.
What?
Come on, go with me, John. This is what I do. I mean, I spend half my life pretending I'm other people. Now, if you lay your hair down and loosen up a little bit, you might learn something, okay? Now, I'm Susan, you're John.
No, you're sick and I'm thirsty.
Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, listen, maybe I can get us started here. Well?
Well, what?
Talk to me, John. Tell me what I want to hear.
Get away from me. This is this guy.
See, you never talk to me. You always keep me at a distance. You treat me like I'm some sort of princess that you can't even touch. Well, maybe I want to be touched, John.
Hey.
Maybe I want to be manhandled.
This is really crazy. Don't do this to me, okay?
Other men have no problem talking to me.
What other men? What
Just a little bit. Can I get a Dubonnet, please, with a twist?
What other men? Is she seeing other men? Huh?
Now he wants to talk.
No, listen, Lang.
Susan.
Lang,
Susan.
whoever. Is she seeing...
Susan.
Is she seeing other men? Just... What? Frankie. Alphonse? Mr. Tiber? Come on. Who? Come on.
Susan.
Susan. Susan.
Yes, John?
I don't know. I mean, look, there's been variations on this scene before in a
He's
sense.
like, yes, John.
It's like it's almost like a parody of the Cyrano scene between the three of them. But like, Fox is so freaking funny in this scene, and the way James Woods is playing off of him, it does look like they're about to break in a couple moments. I love this scene.
Yeah, no, that is really funny.
And you know what? This movie is so pedal to the metal from the beginning to end. This is the only slow scene in this movie, and I don't mind it because it's a really funny character beat between the two of them.
Yeah, it is really funny.
And it's also funny because Nick Lang thinks he's that good an actor that he could transform into a woman in a bar and convince John, like this is what it's like. So it's funny because it's almost making fun of this convention.
Yeah. Okay, so now can I go to this warehouse part?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, so John and Nick are at this warehouse and he gives Nick a gun and tells him, like, you need to, like, be able to protect yourself because I don't know who's going to be...
Stay in the car.
Yeah, stay in the car. But then he doesn't stay in the car and he goes into this warehouse and he sees, like, running and John is just like, oh, watch out, Nick, and so he ends up shooting a guy and killing him.
And it's not the party crasher, it's a stranger.
Yeah. And so because earlier Nick had asked him, like, what's it like to kill somebody, and that's when John kind of gives him a speech of like, I can't tell you what it's like. Yeah. You have to feel it yourself.
Yeah, so now Nick knows and he's horrified.
Yeah.
And the film becomes very dark and serious.
It gets super dark and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take the heat on this. You were never here. You can go back to Hollywood. And he's like, oh my gosh, you'd do that for me? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, if you need money for anything, he's like, no, like we're just never... talk to me again.
Never contact. Yeah. Now we're quickly jumping to the airport and we're going, oh wow, that's a really surprising dark twist that this film just took.
Yeah, like he's like
the film just got really serious. It feels like it's about to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he somehow he doesn't get on the plane.
He has a change of heart and decides he has to go back to New York and make a confession. Basically confess to what happens. He's that racked with guilt.
Yeah, so he goes back to the police station, and this is when he sees the guy he killed alive, talking to all the other cops. Yeah, he's a cop. And they're basically making fun of Nick.
Of recounting the event from his point of view, how ridiculous. So it's like, John was giving this amazing performance, and he's like, kid, go back to Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah. And John did all of this because he can't stand Nick Lang so much. He just wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah, he was wanting to.
And give him major trauma.
Right.
I hate you so much. I'm going to give you a traumatic event and I'm going to send you packing. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's dark, but it's funny that he would go to those lengths to get rid of him.
I mean, okay, now that we're talking about, if we go back to that dirty cop conversation we were having, I feel like this is pretty low.
Oh, it's awful.
Like, to do this to somebody.
But
Make
again,
you think they, like, murdered somebody?
I think, again, like, I like certainly like James Woods. The character is fascinating, but like, is John Moss a really likable character? Not really. I feel like he's dark. He's dark like Dirty Harry is dark. I feel like it's that kind of dynamic.
Yeah. But that's what Nick was drawn to, though.
Yeah.
As Nick is like, oh man, if I could just like embody this guy, I could win an Oscar.
Right. And one of the mistakes that Lang makes immediately is that, he has that line like, a lot of people would be happy to have Nick Lang stay at their house. And he's like, well, where can I drive you to?
Yeah. Pick a house. I'll take you there.
And I think one of the funniest throwaway lines in the movie, because the camera isn't on them, it's on the billboard. There's the bit where earlier in the film where they're looking out the window of the billboard and Nick goes, look, my billboard. And John's like, yeah, you could sleep next to the one you love. Love that so much.
Yeah. So
now Nick is angry at John because he realized he's been had as big con.
And so he's off to find him, but John is pursuing the party crasher again. and he's in a movie theater. So this is like...
The chase that leads to the movie theater, yeah. Yeah, this is a great bit. And I gotta say, seeing this on the big screen was fun. The whole bit where he jumps on the screen and rips the screen down. Like, Michael J. Fox is jumping on the screen while he's on the screen.
It's like a movie within a movie within a movie.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah. So the shootout takes place, and Moss does wound the party crasher, but he manages to escape from the ambulance, which is like, how? What? How do you do that?
You saw how ripped this guy is, okay? He probably just like flexes and just pushes the bullet right out. He's just that tough, okay?
Like the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah. He's the party crasher. Crash, crash, crash.
Oh my gosh. So,
So Nick gets in the car that he's about to leave, which is a police car.
Oh yeah, and the party crasher is in.
Tries to basically, take control of the situation, and Nick is both angry and he's full of belief that he's a cop now. So he immediately speeds, goes to ridiculous, just like crashes through everything, and the car goes flying through the air, and So Nick is injured and the party crasher is on the loose.
Yeah. All right, so now we're back to Susan, who comes over to see John, and she's like, I just can't date you anymore. And, it's not you, it's your job. Yeah. And it's like, and then, I don't know, John really, takes it personally. He's like, yeah, great. Nobody wants to be with a cop until you just, need a cop to come save your life. Yeah.
I'm looking at this thinking this is a character choice. Is this something that he said to his wife? It's established that he used to be married. So I wonder if this is a familiar conversation for him.
Oh, the character or James Woods?
John Moss.
Oh, okay.
John Moss.
Like, wow, that's okay.
No. Yeah, I think that's what he's playing here. Just like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. I've had this conversation before. Yeah. Because he barely even fights her. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so she leaves, and it's very much like, okay, that's it for that. Yeah. She gets in the elevator, and the party crasher's in the elevator.
The party crasher is there. And
man, Stephen Lang does that thing where he turns his head and looks at her right before the doors close. Now, if Stephen Lang did that, would you swoon? Ooh.
Not if he was like the party crasher, Stephen Lang.
I'm about to crash another party.
I'm going to take you as my hostage.
Crash, crash, crash.
Oh my gosh. No, honestly, being in an elevator, with a stranger.
Stephen Lang?
Is scary.
Oh, come on.
It's scary enough.
Yeah. But this is your fantasy, though, being in an elevator with Stephen Lang. I liked Don't Breathe 2. Okay, I don't care what the critics said. I don't care what my husband says. I'm not really married. How about you, Stephen Lang?
Wait, is he married? Let's check. Just kidding.
Let's look it up.
No, he's so old.
Oh, come on.
I mean...
Oh, that never stopped anyone. Back in the 90s, you know who I really have a crush on? Sean Connery, when he was
well...
I'm 80 years old.
No, he's no Sean Connery. Let's be real. Yeah.
No, he's
1952.
Younger.
I mean, he's 3 years older than my dad. Ooh.
Oh, come on. Have you seen, he's in a muscle tee for all 3 hours of those Avatar movies.
Yeah, which I've never seen.
Well, he's the bad guy in that.
Yeah, I've never seen
I don't know if that'll...
Avatar.
I don't think that would sway you. I think you'd be like, ooh, Stephen Lang.
Let's watch that after this. Just kidding.
Let's watch them both back to back. Only 7 hours of our lives.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so Nick comes to see John in his apartment, and he's surprised to see him.
And this is where, it's a great meta moment. It's like, this is the third act where they boil a rabbit.
Yeah, boil a rabbit. But he's like, didn't you just see Susan? He's like, no, I didn't just see Susan. So now John's spidey senses are tingling, and he knows she's in trouble. Yeah. And so he's
Party crasher says, I'm on top of the world with Nick Lang. They know it's the billboard.
Oh, yeah, because he, of course, calls 911 to tell them, where he is. All right, so Nick, basically John goes up to the billboard, and then Nick, they're all crawling around on this massive fedora.
It's meant to be like a throwback to the ending of North by Northwest, the big Mount Rushmore battle that, you know, it becomes like them hanging on for dear life off this thing. And it's pretty impressive because there's a few shots, you know, with James Woods and Michael J. Fox. So clearly they're in front of a green screen, or it's, you know, or they're on a billboard that's safely on the ground, and they're just filming it to make it look like it's treacherous. But the stunts, when you've got these stuntmen that are dangling off the edge of the fedora, you know, with Times Square below them, that's amazing stuff. That's real.
Yeah, and Susan hanging on to the cigarette.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, the stunt work in this is out of sight. It's great. And I like the fight scene between Michael J. Fox and Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate your movies. And by the way, at this point, accent gone. Completely gone.
Well, and it's like, okay, Stephen Lang versus Michael J. Fox. Like, I feel like Stephen Lang could just like flick him and he'd like fly off of there.
Yeah, and to the film's credit, they address that because Stephen Lang jumps into his faux karate moves that he clearly has been using for his cheeseball movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he doesn't really know how to fight?
No, not really. I mean, he gets a few shots in. No, when it gets down to James Woods and Stephen Lang, that's when it becomes a full-on brawl. But for a while, it's like, it's not much of a fight when it's the two of them.
That's true.
When it's him and Fox, rather.
All right, so let's see. Nick gets shot.
He does.
Mm-hmm. And Stephen Lang falls off.
Well, James Woods tosses him off that building. Yeah, it's quite the flight down.
Yeah.
We see it from all sorts of angles. It's great. And he goes smashing into a little glass case down below. It's great.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, so Nick gets to feel like what it's like to murder somebody, to get shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting the full cop experience. Hasn't even been 2 weeks.
Yes. And by the way, where is Susan at this point?
So Nick had like pulled her up with a rope or something.
But it looks like she's like inside the palm of the hand. Like, did he leave her there? Where is she?
Oh. She's just like, guys, can you?
I know you're having a moment, but I'm kind of dangling 5 stories up.
I think it's more like 25 stories up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, but everybody gets down safely except for the party crasher. He crashes, literally.
He does. And by the way, isn't that an interesting contrast that the party crasher needs an audience and so does Nick Lang?
Oh.
So I think they're making a statement there about, you know, there's a very thin line between being an artist and madness.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That's true. So Moss and Susan are at the movies with all their fellow officers watching Nick's latest movie called The Good, the Badge, and the Ugly.
Oh, man. That's such an awful title. You know that, like, yeah, that sounds totally plausible. And it's a funny cut because it's James Woods standing over Michael J. Fox. Fox is like, I'm getting cold, and this is too real. And James was like, now it's no cuts, no. And then they cut to the movie where you see Michael J. Fox basically stealing all of
the lines. The one that I said earlier where he's like, it's our whole lives. Like, you get 17 takes and, we get 1.
Yeah.
And James Woods is like, he stole my line. He stole me. He stole my life.
Yeah. And we basically, like, the movie kind of ends on a joke. It ends on Delroy Lindo telling him to shut up, and he's got a hat of the movie. So clearly this chief of police is like all in on Nick Lang. And then, James Woods goes, he's really not that tall in real life. And that's how the movie ends.
Yeah.
But we get the fake credit. It's cool because it's fake credits. It's credits for the movie within the movie. And it's also the real credits. Yeah. More LL Cool J.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how the hard way ends.
I loved it.
Cool.
I thought it was really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad. Yeah. I was worried when you said you recognized it, but then you said, I only remember the billboard. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I just remembered like the 20-foot tall Nick Lang head and fedora and cigarette. Yeah. I know I don't really have any bad things to say about it.
You don't have any bad things to say?
No. I liked it a lot.
Did you think it had a gratuitous amount of LL Cool J?
No.
Because he's in the movie. He's even wearing his hat. I don't
feel like we had enough LL Cool J. I mean, he's barely in it.
Should we get a spin-off, which is the Cool J character, and every time he goes to a club, they're playing his music?
He's like, I'm only going to do this movie if you play all my songs.
How many LL Cool J songs can you name?
I none.
None, really? Not even "Round the Way Girl"? None.
No.
Okay.
I'm not a big. I don't know. Like R&B is not really. Yeah.
Okay.
But my favorite, my favorite LL Cool J movie.
Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's so great.
I love that he did this movie. This was his film debut. And then he plays Robin Williams' brother in Toys.
Yeah.
And then Deep
So
Blue
weird.
Sea. And he's in Halloween H2O. What a weird body of work. It's pretty wacky.
Yeah.
Because this was at a time when a lot of rappers were becoming actors, like Ice Cube, Ice-T, and they were doing a lot of like Will Smith. And for the most part, they were starting off with like violent urban dramas. And then you got LL Cool J. It's like, I mean, what a weird, now he's doing these cop shows. I think he's NCIS, one of those. With
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a fixture on TV. I love that. It's a really wacky body of work.
Mm-hmm. What if they called this movie The Good, the Bad, and the Hard Way?
No,
No,
I hate that so much, and I think it's at the end of the movie as a sign of contempt because it's like, yeah, this would happen. By the way, like, it's funny because this movie came out. It was like a year after two of the worst buddy cop movies ever. There was one called Loose Cannons. It's with Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd. The role that Dan Aykroyd plays was meant for Robin Williams. The idea is like he's got a partner who's got multiple personality syndrome. That's what they used to call it. So every couple of scenes, he like becomes somebody else. It's wacky, and it has a plot about finding a Hitler snuff film. It's so terrible. The same year, they had another buddy cop movie. Again, like this is like the bottom of the bottom. They did a movie called Collision Course with Pat Morita and Jay Leno.
What?
Yeah. It's pretty insane. And they've tried this too. Like they've tried these high concept gimmicky buddy cop movies. They did one where it was called The Man. It's Samuel L. Jackson and Eugene Levy. It's like, it's a funny idea, but sometimes 90 minutes of these things, like it just, the poster, if the poster is the only thing that makes you laugh, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the team of Michael J. Fox and James Woods, it's got a lot of electricity. They're great. And the film does too.
Yeah. Do you think they should have done a sequel?
Not necessarily. And it came at an interesting time in Fox's life. I've read Michael J. Fox's book. I think it was Lucky Man, where he wrote about this film. He said that when it opened, it was such a bomb, and the critics really didn't like it. And he really thought, like, this is it. It's over because...
Oh, he thought his whole career was over?
He thought he was in a lot of trouble, rightfully so, because the dramas had bombed. Back to the Future was over. Family Ties was over, and this movie tanked. And then he followed it up with this movie, Doc Hollywood, which Marty loves. And it's interesting because there's a similar dynamic there. In Doc Hollywood, he's a rich Beverly Hills doctor. His car crashes into this little podunk town, and it becomes this really charming little love story. It's a really good movie, but it's also a movie about like a Hollywood type who has to embrace a different way of life, But it was, on the one hand, Doc Hollywood was seen as a comeback film, and rightfully so. It's a good movie, and it was a big hit. It was on that film that he realized that his body was not acting the way. Yeah, he noticed his hand shaking for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bittersweet story.
Yeah.
But but yeah, if you love Michael J. Fox, if you love Marty McFly, give this movie a look. It's foul-mouthed and crude at times, and it is very violent. But if you love buddy cop movies, it's tops.
I mean, I don't think it's any more violent or crude than any other, like...
No, it's not more violent than like Tango and Cash or
No, I mean, this is pretty tame.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's like...
What's more violent, The Hard Way or Smoking Gun 2?
Probably The Hard Way.
I don't know.
Even though we only saw like 2 seconds of...
That Smoking Gun 2 looks pretty intense, I must say.
Okay, do you give this movie 4 stars?
3.5, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure exactly why anymore. I've always given it 3.5. That was
Why?
always...
What's wrong with it?
What's
why
wrong
are you
with
holding back
Why
a
am
half
I holding
star?
back? It's a little like... It's a little relentless. I'll say it that way. Like, it's a little exhausting, I think.
It's
what
you're reaching for that half
no,
star.
No. Because there's the scene where it's the scene in the parking garage where there's an explosion. I don't know, like the film has so many action sequences. It ends up winding. It has like 3 or 4 climaxes, and the film ends. As funny as the final scene is, it's a little abrupt the way the film ends. So I don't know. I don't know if it needed one more scene. If we needed one more scene with Penny Marshall's character, I mean. wouldn't the film benefit from learning that, the ambulance comes and we see that the party crasher is still alive?
No. Party Crasher's a goner. Yeah.
Is this your favorite Stephen Lang performance? It is, isn't it?
No, because the character is so weird. And he barely has any dialogue. I mean, he's just kind of running around and like laughing maniacally. So I would not say that.
What do you think he does for a living? I think he's a video game programmer. What do you think?
I think he's a hacker. Yeah. He probably is like he was like the first one to like get like send spam emails to, and like, from another pretending to be like
a prince who wants to give you
exactly 6
figures.
Exactly. Yeah. Or he'd just like call elderly people and like scam them out of their cash. Like, oh yeah, your, I don't know, thing is expired and you need to pay me for something. And then all the old people are like, oh, okay, here's my credit card.
Hello. It's me. Oh, I want your welfare check.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You send me $50, I send you back 1,000. And they're like, oh, that makes sense.
That's quite the accent you have there.
Yeah, he like invented all those scams. Yeah.
He really was ahead of his time.
I think that's probably what his, quote, job was.
Well, considering the size of his apartment, it's like, is he a yuppie? Like, what is his cover? I mean, because he's not robbing people. He's just killing people.
Yeah, but he has to fund his terrorism.
Right, but the thing is, like, Patrick Bateman, has a great job, we think. We don't really know what he does. But, he works at a prolific company.
He has great business cards.
Yes, he does. Mm-hmm. I think that's an indication that, he probably...
Maybe he works at Blockbuster because he's always returning his videotapes.
Patrick Bateman? You think he's at, like, the Blockbuster headquarters?
I don't know. But I do think the Party Crasher is just a scammer, like before like internet scams and email scams like took hold.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's like the father of scams.
The father of scams. Nice. Do you think we need a Party Crasher movie starring Stephen Lang?
No.
Really?
No. I'd like to, I would see another Stephen Lang film. All right, well, do you have any final thoughts? Besides the fact that you're surprised by my confession.
Yeah, I'm flummoxed, completely surprised that The Hard Way made you, ooh, not Michael J. Fox, definitely not James Woods.
Which I know, Michael J. Fox is adorable.
Yes, he is.
I do love him. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the serial killer with the Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins accent.
I know, it's so weird.
That's the one.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I got nothing. I feel like I got some stuff I need to talk to the therapist about now. But
okay.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, probably me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, clearly. So I saw this movie. Do you want to watch it? I brought it. Do you have a DVD player?
You could just rent it on Amazon for like $3.
Let's put it on here. It's fine. Like, you can charge me. We'll watch it together. There's only a couple scenes, but they're really good. Let's fast forward past the Michael J. Fox stuff. Oh, there he is. Isn't it cute? He's exfoliating, but he's also typing.
All right.
Am I crazy? He's attractive, right? Did you see Don't Breathe? He's in that too.
Okay. On that note, I think that concludes.
Crash. Bang, bang. Nick Lang. I'm done.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, babe. I think that concludes our discussion of The Hard Way.
Good night, everyone.